wanted to show this little project I've been working on for this CNC. I picked up this CNC on eBay about 2 years ago. It's a 4-axis CNC. And I made this control box over here on the top, which I'll post a link in the description below for my GitHub. I modified it so I can adjust the speed from inside of Planet CNC's USB CNC controller. So I'm going to run the script right here, and it's going to turn on the spindle by itself using a motorized potentiometer mounted inside the box. So, see, I'm going to run the script. So right now it's sending pulses to the control box, which it will pick up and detect. And you can see it starting to move the potentiometer. I just ran a script to bring it back down to 0. I couldn't find a 5K pot in this style, so I had to go with a 10K, and I also had to go with an audio taper. So about the first 50% of the pot has almost no functionality. And while I have it set to any speed, I can, after it's moved, I can go and adjust it manually. So if I want to tweak it, I can adjust it after it's already set a speed, and it'll read off the speed percentage that I have it up there. I also added a solenoid for MLQ and also control for a compressor to run the MLQ. Running the script right now on the box. Turns on the compressor. In the script I have a waiting cycle on there in the code, so it'll wait for it to air up. And then on the box it'll signify air. And I can also go through and shut it off. These scripts are just demos that I put together. I've actually written a software piece that will take your G code and turn it into G code that will function on its own without having to run these scripts individually. I've also written this application in processing that can be used. I tested it on Windows. I haven't tested it on Linux yet. But with this piece of software, you can take your CNC files, your G-code files, and it will actually generate G-code with the commands in it to turn on and off the spindle, the compressor, MLQ. And you can select whether you want to use MLQ inside the file. Right now I have this computer running through a VNC, so it's a little bit sluggish because it's basically getting the video signal over the network. And I'm outside, so I'm kind of far away. So you can tell it to load a file, which in this case I'll just select something I have here, and then tell it to open it, and then you'll select a file save point. And then we can select whether we add MLQ or not, and it'll notify you with a little checkbox on the side and it'll say MLQ turned on, or if you click it again, it'll shut it off. You can also add line numbers, and the G code will make it a little bit easier if you're trying to edit a file later halfway through a run. I enabled those by default, and then you click the modify file button. It'll generate a file at your selected save location. At this point, it'll also give you the option that you can go ahead and jump right into the app for Planet CNC, and it'll load that up with the software, well, the G code that's been edited with the selected edits. So you can see it added in. I use Desk Proto, and that doesn't add in the line numbers. So I added in these line number comments. If it'll focus, starts with N. Yeah, it's not really focusing that well. It starts with N, and it'll edit all that, and it'll also adjust the spindle. It'll shut it off at the end of the program when it reaches M2, as well as shutting off the air compressor and MLQ. It'll actually cycle on the MLQ between travel cycles and actual cutting cycles. So it'll cycle it on and off throughout the cutting process as it goes from G0s to G1s. In the description, I have information to check if yours is compatible. On the boards inside, there's the main board is called JP382C, and there's a couple different versions of it out there. It's unknown if it's compatible with all of them. I know that there are some differences on them. So it's just a matter of testing with a voltmeter to see if yours will be able to work. The only interfacing with the actual box was changing out the potentiometer from the original one. This one's motorized, so you're basically swapping the 3 wires from in here to that, and then you have 5 wires going from this into the box, as well as on the back of the machine there's a parallel port. It's getting the signals from the parallel port, and it's sending it to the box in the 3D printed case. That's it. I figured I'd just show it to everyone.